Hey everyone, today I'm going to be covering 6 techniques that you could use for skip tracing in real estate. This could be useful if you're a wholesaler or even a real estate agent when you're looking to acquire new leads and want to have that ability to contact those leads correctly. My name is Ariel Herrera with the AnalyticsAriel channel, where we bridge the gap between real estate and technology. I'm a big geek about real estate data, and I notice there's a huge gap of understanding all the resources and tools available in the wholesaling space. So what I'm going to be doing over the next several weeks is releasing videos every Monday to give you more tips around that space. This is the kind of content that you enjoy, then please subscribe so you get the latest of it. All right, let's get started. In my journey to figure out what is the best skip tracing tool out there, I came across this amazing blog called the Wholesaler Toolbox, and in particular, this one page called Real Estate Skip Tracing Tactics, provided by someone named David. And this is a complete overview of how to do skip tracing for free, and also if you want to go to more advanced techniques, how to do that. So what I'm going to be doing is splitting this video into 2 parts. So for the one, I'm going to be going over this blog, which I have in the notes as well if you want to follow along. And secondly, I'm going to walk through an actual example of how we would use some of these tools that David mentions. And David, if you want to learn a little bit more about him, he's the guy behind the Wholesaler's Toolbox. Hopefully we get him on this channel at some point. He does have his own YouTube channel as well and provides a lot of insight in the wholesaling space in terms of using tools, contracts, and evaluating deals as well. For this purpose, we're going to focus specifically on a skip tracing. So what is skip tracing? Say if you're looking to find an owner of a vacant property, how do you know what the owner's contact information is? From the public records, you could probably get their name, but that's not going to be enough. You need a way to contact them, whether that's email, cell phone, social media, etc. And these are some points that David touches on. So let's get to the first tactic here, which is finding the owner's name. If you're doing this on a low-cost basis and you're trying to do most of your wholesaling and list building for free, then one of the ways that you'd be able to find homeowners' names is by going to the county websites and then typing in their name. So for example, in Tampa, the county is Hillsborough County. So I would look up Hillsborough County, the name of the homeowner, as well as, the address of the homeowner, and then get the name thereafter. Or you could also use tools like PropStream, which I use, that provides that information for you already, which makes it a little bit more scalable. So number 2 for skip tracing is just a people search. So there's a ton of free people searches available, and David lists them all here. It's about 20, which is pretty expansive, but his favorite, which I love that he actually states that here, is Fast People Search, which we're going to go through in the example at the end. Fast People Search allows you to enter in the person, state, city, zip code. As well, you could try to research people backwards by getting the phone number or address too. And this is completely free. However, they do not have an API as of yet, which does make it a little bit manual having to enter it. Then step number 3 is using social media networks. So say if you're able to find the person and you want a way to contact them, maybe their phone, they're on a do not call list. Well, then how are you going to be able to get in touch with them? One way is sending mailers, but maybe they don't live in that address anymore. But another alternative is finding them on social media sites like Facebook and LinkedIn. I definitely want to try the LinkedIn one. I'm a little bit wary if I get pushback on it, how that could, what cons could happen. But I'm interested to see if any of you have tried social media networks and if you find that to be a little bit more successful than just the typical call or texting. Next, skip tracing, finding the owner by just doing a good old Google search, which you could actually automate with Python for free, since Python does have a library with Google search, and then you could just quickly query or send like a list of queries for each person, name and address, and then get the top URL. So that's one way that you could try to automate step 4. Step number 5, advanced skip tracing tools. So David does mention that if you want to go to the next level of super intel detective work of finding people, inteltechniques.com is a way to get more information on that. However, for these purposes, I really think we shouldn't bog down too much on getting everything exact in a manual fashion, at least. We should try to understand what tools are available currently, how they allow us to scale, and what their prices are as well. And number 6, offline skip tracing techniques. And I thought these were pretty clever. I've heard some of them before listening to podcasts, but there's 3 in particular here that are mentioned in the blog. So 1, sending a letter to the homeowner. And if they're no longer in that actual home, so maybe it's a vacant homeowner, what happens is if their mail is forwarded, which is the case with all my mail for properties that I house hacked, it's forwarded to my current address, then USPS will come back to you and it would say what the homeowner's actual current address is. So this is a way to get in touch with them. Secondly, they say leave a note. And lastly, visit the neighbors, which visit the neighbors does mention only do this if you've exhausted all other resources, because I could imagine that some neighbors may not be okay with this. All right, so we have our 6 different techniques. Hopefully this can at least get you started with understanding what skip tracing tools are available. But of course, if we put it into an example, it's going to be a lot easier to digest. All right, so I'm going to go back into PropStream. And just to make sure that we understand the flow, there is this really neat resource that I've been referencing a lot, and it's called StepbyStep Real Estate Wholesaling. So each of these steps, let's imagine we're at the start. The first is identifying laws and regulations in your market. So if you're looking to wholesale in South Amboy, then you want to understand the regulations there. Next, set up an LLC, find undervalued homes, which you could do with PropStream, driving for dollars, identifying leads. Also, you could do with tools like PropStream or just going to county foreclosure sites. And then this part right here is what we're interested in. So it's get in touch with the seller, ask essential questions about them and the property. So that first step, get in touch with the seller. This is what skip tracing does. So we go to PropStreams now and say if we want to focus on Old Bridge, New Jersey. We would then get a list of properties here. We can quickly just look at vacant properties if that was our particular interest by clicking vacant. Then we can go to filter, look at only residential properties. That way we're not looking at things like land, but that might be your particular niche. So be aware of that. And in this case, maybe we're interested only in owners that have at least been in the property for 3 years, since they may have more equity in their home. And we could also filter on equity as well. Let's say that the minimum equity should be at least 25%. So now we could back out of there and we could see a list of homes. I'm actually familiar with this street since it's a very popular street that public transportation stops at in Old Bridge. So I'm going to click 84 Throckmorton Lane, and we see here information quickly up top that it looks that the owner is likely vacant. And the way PropStream is able to get this data also involves bringing in USPS information as well as probably other data sources. For this case, we want to be able to contact this person here. So their mailing care of name, this is their first name, their last name. I'm going to copy their name and I'm going to free people search, enter in their address. And then if I go back to PropStream, I can copy the zip code, enter the zip code, hit free people search, and instantly there's someone there. It's by the same name, and they also have information on past addresses, potential phone numbers, as well as relatives, which I've actually used this information on myself and some friends just to see how accurate it is. And fast people search is probably one of the most accurate in terms of a manual search, as well as white pages, which is pretty good. So in this case, our next step would be actually logging this in somewhere in some database, spreadsheet, or in the notes for PropStream. And then Once I have a list of different potential homeowners I want to contact, as well as their contact information, I can then quickly get their cell phone numbers to go through it. However, you can imagine this would be really tedious to do. Say if you have a list of 200 homeowners. I mean, this could probably take you a full day, if not more. Therefore, it's really useful to also look into batch skip tracing tools. And I'm going to show you some of those in the next video, as well as pros and cons that I've seen and which ones have worked best in my market. So stay tuned and subscribe. Thanks.